Hey guys, I'm on the ride here. Welcome back to Coastin content. This is episode 3 and we're going to be covering editing with Zero Coasters and Elena from Coasterverse. Their links will be down in the description below. Please go check out their channel. It was really fun having them on the series, so go check them out and support them because I couldn't have done it without them. But getting back to the video, we're going to cover a little bit of editing and what you need to edit in your videos. And first off, we're going to start with the intro. When making your intro, you want to have it short and sweet, yet still visually appealing. If your intro is too long, it can cause viewers to click off before the video even begins. You can even choose to not include an intro in your videos if you want, but if you would like to include one, here are a few tips that you may want to consider when making your intro. Be sure to use non-copyright background footage in your intro. You can even use your own footage like Elena from Coasterverse did. Throw some non-copyright music that you think fits. You may want to keep it less than 15 seconds just to be sure that it isn't too long and doesn't deter your viewers before the video even begins. Just for reference, my intro is roughly 13 seconds long. You can throw in some cool edits to personalize it, and before you know it, you have an intro. There are apps that specifically make intros, but most of them have their watermark, and if you don't pay for their subscription, it's not too visually appealing to have their watermark on your screen. Personally, I think it's better just to use your editing app and make your own intro. The cool thing about intros is there isn't a specific guideline to follow, so be creative and make it however you want. In order to make a good intro, you're going to need to know how to edit. Covering the computer side of editing will be Zero Coasters.
Whether you're just starting a YouTube channel or you are experienced, Wondershare Filmora 12 is a perfect feature to edit videos. Right now I'm in Wondershare Filmora 12 and I'm going to show you a quick tutorial on how to edit videos. Right here I have two clips that I'm going to use to give a basic tutorial on editing. You can import your media from YouTube or from your own source. Keep in mind you're going to have to use a YouTube to MP4 converter if you want to get your footage off YouTube. And always make sure to give credit. We talked about that in episodes 1 and 2, so if you haven't seen that, make sure to go watch those. But I'm going to show you how to do this. First of all, you drag your clip over to this timeline here, and it will show up. Hit Keep Project Settings, it literally does not matter. And here you can see the volume adjuster. If you're doing a voiceover video, then you must put the volume at very low or 0. And then you have your clip here on silent audio and you can see it go. Now, if you want to import different clips or shorten the clip length, you can shorten the clip length by clicking on the edge of it and shortening it, or on the other side do the same thing. You can use this to go through different parts of your timeline and drag and drop a second clip, and I'm going to show you how to do transitions. Transitions are pretty simple. There's a big tab up here called Transitions, and there's a bunch of trending, recommended, and new effects that you can use. For example, let's use the cross zoom effect. You just drag the effect over here and put it in between the clips. You can have it happen at the start, the end, or the middle. So here's how it's going to look. And it transitions right to the clip of Steel Vengeance. You can do other transitions too with this. For audio effects, you have a bunch of music here from stock places. But you can also download your own music from SoundCloud or the YouTube audio library. Just make sure that it's non-copyright. You also have a bunch of stock media here, which I would not recommend for roller coaster videos, because if you search roller coaster, there's pretty much nothing. If you want to record your own voiceover, you hit the microphone button right here. Then it will bring you to this window where you can change your microphone settings, your input audio, and a countdown to when you can record. Press this red button and it starts a countdown. For example, I'm talking right now into this and you will hear it play back. So here we go. We can listen back to it. It will show up on the timeline. This is how other music is going to work too. For example, so there's that. And then if you want to have two clips at the same time, which I wouldn't recommend unless you want to use text, which is up here, you can put text over it, change the font, and change the color and stuff. This is very good for when you need to give credit or provide context on screen. You can also, when you have two music places, for example, we'll add a music here, and we're going to go to the recording I just made, and you can lap it over each other and make sure to turn down the background music so it's not too loud over you. And you will hear it play back, and you can hear that perfectly. For other tips, you can also use things to slow down videos. For example, if you click on a certain video of yours You can use the speed thing and make it very slow. For example, this is Steel Vengeance at slow speed. There are other much cooler features, but this is just the basics of editing in Wondershare Filmora 12. Now I would like to mention that it does cost money, $45 a year, and around $70 for a lifetime pass. But it's much cheaper than most professional softwares out there, and once you get it, there's really no holding back on what you can do with this edit. If you don't have a computer, then you can always edit on mobile. Here to talk about that is Element of the Ride.
It may seem like being on a mobile device has a lot of restrictions when it comes to editing, but it's really simple to work around. Fun fact, my whole channel has been grown just from editing on a mobile device. Elena covered the details in a quick tour of mobile apps in episode 1, however there are a few things that I would like to touch on. One of the major struggles I had early on was cropping my videos to fit the YouTube ratio. This is a simple fix, and there should be a button on your editing app called crop. You can hit that, usually they have a default setting to YouTube, you can hit that, rearrange the picture around to fit the YouTube crop, and you should be good. Unlike some of my older videos which were not visually appealing. Unfortunately for mobile devices, you have to screen record any footage that you would like to use in your videos, and it isn't as easy as normal if you were on a computer. First off, you need to make sure that the footage is non-copyright. If the footage is non-copyright, then you can screen record, and if you don't know how to screen record, a quick search will help. Once you record your footage, you need to get it into your editing app. That should be simple, and if your editing app has a tutorial at the beginning, you can see the buttons and what they do, and it should be easy to do that. Then you can crop it to the YouTube size like I mentioned earlier, and add some non-copyright music that is light enough for your voice to be heard. Believe it or not, there are mics out there you can get with an Apple and Android adapter that work just as good as if you had a computer. Some may be expensive, so I suggest waiting a little bit until your channel really grows before investing too much into it. You can add transitions to your video to make it more appealing to your audience, which is very fun to do. When making edits in your videos, you may want to consider the quantity and quality of them. Covering this will be Elena from Coasterverse.
You don't want your audience to get bored, which is why we've been talking about editing this entire video. I can speak from experience. Slapping together a monotone voiceover with just something to put in the background won't do well if you want to keep up those viewers. The more editing you have in your video, the more entertaining it can be, but make sure you don't go overboard. If you have too many edits, it would make people lose interest in what you're actually saying and instead focus on what you're putting on the screen. There's one thing that all YouTubers can do when adding edits, and it really isn't that hard. It's using B-roll in your video. If you're asking what B-roll is, let me explain. Imagine if you were watching a movie and it was all one continuous shot, all from the same angle, without anything to give you a look at your surroundings, or someone else talking, or just anything else. You have to admit, it'd be kind of boring. But B-roll is added footage that helps give depth to your videos. Even if your video focuses on a single ride or roller coaster, you can most likely find many no copyright on and off ride footage videos for that coaster that provides a better angle of what your viewers will be watching. These could be as simple as transition videos, or just cutting one bit of footage off at the end of your thought and cutting to another bit of another footage. It's mostly subtle and really makes the quality of your videos better. But what if you're covering a topic that's hard to find footage for? Don't just have a blank screen and talk about your topic podcast style, unless you're doing an actual podcast. Get creative. Add voice effects that will make your voice gradually get louder, or even softer. Anyways, now we'll be touching base on background footage and music briefly once again. Here's Element of the Ride for background footage.
I covered a lot about background footage in episode 1, so be sure to check that out if you want more in-depth information. Just be sure to use proper non-copyright background footage in your videos and give credit to your source. If you find footage that is posted by the park, you can use that as long as you give credit. If you decide to use your own footage in the videos, please respect the park's on-ride filming policies. You can use general park footage, off-rides, and POVs as background footage, but just don't use a picture or anything like that because movement keeps the viewer engaged. You can also switch from the three and have some variation in your video rather than just using one type of footage. Get creative and have fun. Something else that will keep your viewers engaged is background music.
Just like background footage, we've already touched base on background music a little bit in episode 1. So this will be a brief and a little bit of a recap from episode 1. I still believe that lyrics in your background music won't be the best for keeping your audience's attention on you, and I also believe that it can't be too loud. What else is there to cover? Well, there's 2 more things. Where to find your music and what genre of music I would recommend you use in your videos. First off, where to find your music. I can't stress this enough, please find non-copyright music as best as you can. It can really come back to get you in the long run. YouTube may be fine, but it's kind of hard to tell if the music is non-copyright or not. Even if it explicitly says no copyright, it still could have a copyright label under it. I know from experience. Apps like Spotify and Apple Music also aren't the best for finding music. So my main recommendation is SoundCloud. It's really worth it. Find the playlists that have no copyright and you'll 9 times out of 10 be good to go. The final point that I have is about what genre you should look for. Like I said before, lyrics in rap songs wouldn't be the best for keeping your viewer entertained. That also applies to pop, country, rock, and just about anything that you could think of that could be under copyright or have lyrics in it. So I'd recommend finding things like lo-fi beats, which you can find on SoundCloud a lot, or just instrumental chill music that could also match the tone of your video. But those are my tips on music. Here to give the outro is Element of the Ride.
Outros are much like intros in the sense of using non-copyright background footage in music. You can include a phrase like "thanks for watching" or something around the lines of that to properly end your video. You can make it visually appealing, and that's pretty much all. When uploading your video, there's an option to add an end screen on the video, and that's just a way to put your most recent videos or your channel icon on the end of that video for your viewers to see more of your channel. They have different options, and you can make your own end screen to personalize your outro. Just be sure that if you do this, you have the time of the outro in mind so you can set the end screen to that time. If you don't get the time right, it could cover up some of the footage in your video, so just make sure you get the time right and you should be good. Speaking of outros, that wraps up this video. The next and final episode of the series will be out next Saturday. Thanks to Elena from Coasterverse and 0G Coasters for helping out. Their channels will be linked in the description below. Please go support them. It was a huge help having them on the series. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you in the next one.